We're going to talk about chargers. Well, just about everything now is lithium batteries. So we're pretty much stuck with these now forever. If you really want to have any kind of power in your vehicle, any kind of runtime, you're going to end up with lithium batteries recommended for a lot of RTRs now. I know they offer 4-cell even for my lossy laser nut that we just got. So anything that's going to have like really big capacity batteries, you're going to end up with LIPO now. I have been charging LIPOs for an incredibly long time. Started doing it first when I was in the RC racing scene, doing 10th scale SC trucks and buggies, which are super fun, by the way. The track racing meant that we needed to have really high power batteries for the amp hit, for the start stop, doing the triple and all that stuff. There's a lot of heavy throttle brake action. LIPOs was definitely the answer for those vehicles. And so I started on a big dual charger we're going to talk about today. And I have since moved away from the big dual charger and onto something that's incredibly simple. And I want to show you what we do for our basic RC battery charging for the rock crawlers and scale trucks. And here's the big charger first. Well, this is my first charging box. This was a really handy thing for me because when I was racing, I could use it for 2 batteries at the same time. So the way that this works is it's basically just, this is the whole thing is just this. This is the charger. Just that. Except that this charger is 180 watts on each side. It's basically a giant buck converter, if you know what that is in electronics. And so you program your battery in very simply. You do your change between the one output or the second output. But I needed to have a 12 volt power supply to run this. So what I did is I took an old drill box. I'll show you what happened here. This is a drill box. It came with some kind of a cordless drill and a bunch of batteries and stuff in it. And because I wasn't going to use it for that anymore, I decided to chop out some of the plastics in the blow mold and then use some ties, cable ties and glue and foam and metal ties, zip ties, and actually build a container that would hold my charger so I could have my power supply and my actual charging face and all my cables, my balance connectors, any kind of adapters I needed to go from say a Dean's to an XT60, something like that. Balance boards for different kinds of batteries. This is my actual 120 volt plug, so I can plug in my power supply through here. Just chopped a hole in that. This thing works great, and I also have a 12 volt feed here that I can use on a cigarette lighter, for instance, to power the charger. So this charger is a little complicated. Not that you have to have, not just because it's a dual charger, but you need to have a balance board. You need an actual separate balance board to run this charger for your LIPO battery. So what happens is you will take the balance board that goes with the charger. Many of them of this style have this style of board as well. And this will plug into the actual charger in the front or the side or wherever. And that's not enough. You still have to plug in the actual battery leads as well. So you will connect your battery to the main battery lead, the main power lead, and the board. And the way to do that is by using the balance port that comes on the LIPO battery. That's what this is for. And so the balance port will plug into the correct terminal on the balance board for the charger. And then you still have to plug in the other battery lead. And now you have this big complicated pile of wires that you can use to charge your battery. So it works great, really well, very high power charger, and in this case I have 2 separate slots, so I can do 2 batteries at once the same, I can match both cells together. I can make a full pack, match cells on each side, match to each other, or I can just do them separately. I can do a 5S on one side and a 2 cell on the other side. It doesn't care. You just tell it what you're doing and away you go. So this is definitely the more complicated version of battery charging that I've used. It's very accurate. It works great. It's quite safe because it's always checking the cell balances as you charge. And with lithium batteries, I can only recommend doing full balanced cell charges at the same time. Just don't do the fast charge option. Some chargers have a fast charge option where you can actually just pump power into the main lead without using the balance port at all. And that is the least safe way of doing it, because if one cell overcharges, the charger won't know to turn off. So that's a problem. So there's a really cool idea for you if you want to do a big charging system. If you have a lot of high power batteries, this will charge even 6 cell batteries. So for my big airplanes and stuff, that's great for that. But my crawlers, I'm not using that. I'm using 3 cell batteries for the crawlers and for most of the off-road trucks. And so a system that's this big is mostly unnecessary, and I don't use it that often. But because everything is contained in this case, it's incredibly easy to just pick this whole thing up and go. So I love it for that. I love it for the capability of helping other people charge at events or whatever it is, and having it all contained in one place. But there's another option that we use every day that's way easier. Here it is. It just looks like a box, but there's a lot going on in here, and I want to tell you why this little charging station here is the most favorite thing that I have for charging right now. I love this. I've been using this for years and years. It used to be laid down on a bench, but now in this situation we've finally put it on the wall. And we're going to go through the components that are inside and why this makes so much sense for the smaller RC. First of all, I have a big power outlet right here on the wall, and I wanted to put multiple chargers on it, so I didn't have enough sockets, so I ran the power cord up to this power bar here. There's a couple of really cool things that I can do with this, because it also has a whole bunch of USB charging. So sometimes, you know, the little RCs that we have actually have USB chargers. Some of the smaller airplanes have them. Some of those little tiny 176 on-road cars, they use USB charging. So this is now my RC USB charging station, which also works great for the radios, by the way. I can also use it to plug in a AA battery charger to use rechargeable batteries in the rest of my remotes. So instead of having to use alkaline batteries in your RTR remotes, you can just use rechargeables and have a recharging station right here on the power bar. Yet another reason for a power bar is because it's got a switch. And when you walk away, you want to be able to know that nothing's charging. It's 100% off. Everything is done and it's safe, and there's no extra power going to your units. So power off. It's so easy. And I love using the power bar for the charging station power, because I know when I turn this off, I can walk by in the office and just see that it's off and know that there's nothing going to happen while I'm not here. Why do we use a box? We use the box because it's really important that when you charge your lithium batteries, you have them contained somehow. Most of the time it's recommended to charge them on an open flat surface, like something that can't burn, a non-flammable surface, like for instance on the concrete floor or in an old cooking pan or something like that, that if it got hot it wouldn't burn. I'm going to use this electrical box now. I've been using this for a very long time, and I love it because I know that when my batteries are in here, they're completely contained. If they do catch on fire or something blows up inside for any odd reason, then they're just going to make a lot of smoke and a lot of mess, but it's all contained. Nothing in here is flammable. So what I did is I took one tiny little hole through the top of this and this electrical box, and I ran the wires through there to power these simple chargers. I don't know if you guys have ever seen these or not, but these are Imax 6 chargers. This is a Imax RC, sorry. The Imax 6 is very similar to my big charger system. So the Imax RC charger and a lot of other ones. I know that Traxxas also has one, Dynamite has one. There's a lot of chargers that are made just like this. And this is what I call a dummy charger. You cannot get this wrong. You just can't. These are so simple to use and they do all the work for you. So here's why. On our big charger, for instance, we had that huge mess of wires to charge the balance and the main power all plugged in at the same time. We also had a balance board that was hanging off of this end, and then we had all the extra wires and cables. I call this a dummy charger because they only charge, this particular one only charges 2 or 3 cell. They're using the balance port only. See that? That's the power input from the wall right here. They don't use any other power, and they don't use the big plug off of your battery, which means that when you want to charge these, you simply put in the balance lead in the bottom of the battery charger in the correct port, and that's it. And then the lights will go on and tell you what's going on, and that's it. And the way these chargers work internally is they take the 120 power from the wall and they convert it into one charge line for each of the lines of your battery. So they either charge 2 out of the 3 cells, or they charge all 3 cells, but they do that individually. So there's a light on here that says cell 1, cell 2, cell 3, and every single time you charge this battery, you get a full balanced charge, guaranteed. And I love that because I'm all about the balanced charge every time. So with this situation here, what I did is I took my Imax dummy chargers, is what I call them, and I stuck them here in a big pile. I've got my battery meter, so every time I want to find out what's going on with my batteries, I can just plug that in, take a look right away, and it tells me exactly what my battery health is for the different cells. And then I'll say, oh yeah, this one is dead, I can charge this now. And I'm going to power on my charger. All my chargers are now on. I got my green lights here, ready to go. And I'm going to plug this in. And now I've got 3 red lights. My 3 red lights are telling me that all these cells are charging. 1, 2, and 3, they're all charging. I can put that right there in my box, close it up, I'm done. I don't have to worry about this battery being in here. It's all contained. Makes me very happy. It gets a nice 800 milliamp charge on each one of the cells, which is basically about 0.2 C, 0.3 C, pretty much, depending on your battery size. Sometimes it's up to about half a C. The small batteries, it'll be 1 C. But perfect amount of charge to just walk away and not have to worry about it. And if I want to find out if the battery's done, take a look at the lights. That's it. I just open the door and look at that, see what's going on. Now if I ever had a fire in here, for any reason, if a LIPO ever blew up or there was ever some problem in here, then not only would the chargers stop charging, but I've got a surge protection here on the power bar, which is also fused, which also has a safety trip in it as well. And then I also have my regular line that I'm using here for the 110 that's on the regular fuse box. So I've got multiple levels of protection here against having an accident of some kind electrically in this box. So I've had many times I've brought batteries in here and just piled them all in and charged them all up, and it's been great. I also don't keep my batteries for too long, so if I have a set of batteries that's been, you know, cycled 40-50 times, that's enough for me. Even if the batteries are perfectly fine, I'll give them away or retire them or send them to battery heaven or something like that. So there's my simple charging station. I recommend multiple levels of protection, which is another great reason to use a power bar for all your charging at once. Just push the button and that's it. So you've got lots of options. This is a very low power option. You will not get a fast charge option with these style of chargers. The simple chargers have to power the battery through these tiny wires, and so that's the reason you don't get a high amp charge through these chargers, because the wires can't take much more than they're getting already. There's tiny wires, they're tiny plugs, you get a tiny charger. That's it. You could very easily use a box like this with a larger charge system like the other one and build it right into the box if you wanted to. Also an option. Or attach it to the wall right beside and feed the wires through the box. Something like that. There's lots of different ways to make a safe battery charging structure. Those are my two ideas. This is my all-time favorite by far because I know it's simple, it's balanced charge, it takes me no time to put the batteries in and get them going. And I love that it's just simple, it's out of my way, it's not on my bench anymore either, which is really handy for me because I need all the bench space I can get. And this one is now on the wall and I can just turn it off when I need to, and I really like using it. Thanks for coming along today. We hope this helps you out with your decision to get into different kinds of LiPo charging. I really hope you do a safe job on that and make sure you've got some kind of container you can put them in for charging or use your cement floor. And we hope this video was helpful. If you want to give that a big old thumbs up on the video, that'd be great. And we thanks so much for your watching, and we'll see you on the bench on the next one.